The flashing lights from the slot machine danced across her pale, sunken cheeks. Shelley's eyes were burning holes through the digital reels as they blurred by, a kaleidoscope of numbers and symbols taunting her. She licked her cracked lips nervously. "Come on, baby. Mama needs a new pair of shoes," she muttered, her voice a hoarse rasp. Clang. The reels stopped arbitrarily on a lineup of mismatches. No jackpot today. Shelley's face contorted in anger, and she slammed her fist on the machine, causing a shower of change to scatter across the casino carpet. Another typical evening gambled away, with little to show for it besides a few more dollars in the hole. As she stormed out into the moonlit parking lot, shadows of shame and disgrace trailed close behind. Welcome back, my friends. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss a single installment of our journey into the harrowing world of gambling addiction. I know. You're probably thinking, how could someone let things get so out of control over some casino games? The answer, as you'll soon see, is that gambling disorder is every bit as pernicious and powerful as substance addictions like alcoholism or drug abuse. Once it has its hooks in you, the consequences can be utterly devastating for both the person suffering and their loved ones. Let me set the stage with Shelley's story. A few years ago, she was just an average working mom in her mid-30s, putting in long hours as a paralegal to support her kids after her husband bailed. Maybe she wasn't living a life of luxury, but she was getting by as a responsible adult and provider for her little family. Then one fateful night, some office friends invited her to the local casino to blow off some steam and have a few laughs. Shelley had never been much of a gambler, but she figured, what the hell, it could be fun in moderation. That's exactly how it starts for so many compulsive gamblers. Just a single night of innocent fun at the card tables or in front of the flashing slots. A momentary escape from the daily grind and stresses of adult life. But like a spark meeting a trail of gasoline, that first taste of the gambling high ignited something inside Shelley that she never knew existed. The deafening sound of cascading coins, the neon lights and siren calls of the machines, the electric thrill of risking it all on a single toss of the dice. It all combined into a blissful neurological avalanche that temporarily obliterated her fears and responsibilities. For those few electrifying hours at the casino, none of her problems seemed to matter anymore. The loneliness of her empty home life, the grinding lows of her tedious job, her worries about providing for the kids, all of it just melted away in that gambler's trance. She finally understood the appeal. So Shelley kept going back, at first just on weekends for a quick fix. But like any addiction, her tolerance quickly built up, and that tiny escape route wasn't enough to satisfy the cravings anymore. Soon it escalated to weeknights, evenings after the kids were ticked in, any tiny window in her schedule that allowed another opportunity to chase that elusive high. And there were signs. Oh, were there ever signs that things were taking a very dark turn? The occasional late nights at first turned into a clear pattern of absences, missed quality time with the children, blown-off commitments, and unreturned calls from loved ones. When she was home, Shelley was often irascible and irritable, snapping at her kids over the slightest thing. She stopped caring about her appearance, hygiene, and health as her entire existence narrowed into brutal tunnel vision. Get money, go gambling, repeat. Next came the lies and deceptions, desperate attempts to cover up her embarrassing new dependencies. Hushed phone calls, hidden receipts and bank statements rat-holed away, phony excuses about working late or running errands whenever she disappeared for hours at the casino. Money began vanishing in droves, siphoned from the household budget to fuel Shelley's ravenous hunger for placing just one more bet. The kids started going without, forced to wear raggy hand-me-downs as all the spare income got blown on ill-fated roulette spins or slot pulls. At her peak, Shelley was gambling away roughly 80% of her take-home pay in a given month. Excessive debt mounted quickly as she was forced to borrow at exorbitant interest rates from shadowy bookies and loan sharks just to keep a roof over her family's head. Valuable family heirlooms and electronics were unceremoniously pawned or sold off in a scramble for fresh gambling funds. It got so bad that she even pilfered her kids' piggy banks one desperate night, raining their collected allowances and 2 ferry payouts into the gas tank for her car so she could make it to the casino. Maxed out credit cards, delinquent mortgage and utility payments, harassing creditor calls at all hours. Shelley found herself in a crushing, inescapable vice that kept tightening and tightening with each futile gamble to dig her way out. Worst of all were the overpowering negative emotions like depression, guilt, and shame that swirled around her constantly. Emotions she tried fruitlessly to gamble away each time she hit the casino floor, only to end up redoubling them with the latest series of losses. It all finally came crashing down one tragic evening when Shelley, in a desperate moment of hopelessness, truly contemplated ending her life as a permanent solution to her out-of-control problems. The profound sadness and self-loathing she felt while staring down at her snoring kids that night shook her to her core. These were the 2 innocent people she loved most, and she almost did the unthinkable because of her diseased relationship with gambling. That was the wake-up call that finally made her admit enough is enough, and that she needed urgent professional help before completely destroying her family. It took gargantuan reserves of courage to own up to her addiction's severity, but it was the first step of her recovery journey. With the support of addiction counselors and gambling-focused therapy sessions, Shelley slowly began dismantling the intricate web of lies, deceptions, and harmful patterns that had enveloped her. She joined an online support group for struggling gamblers and found immense healing in knowing she wasn't alone in this battle. It hasn't been an easy road by any stretch. Shelley has relapsed and fallen off the wagon more times than she can count, seduced again by gambling's sneering temptations before scrambling to get back on track. But through it all, she's held firm to her commitment of being a better mother to her kids and rebuilding their trust. These days, she avoids even entering establishments with gambling, knowing that a single roll of the dice could undo years of hard-won progress. Whenever she feels those familiar compulsive rushes and urges, Shelley calls up her support group family, and they talk her off the ledge. With patience, courage, and perseverance, she has painstakingly reassembled the loving home life that addiction stole from her family, once scorched by the fires of her compulsive behavior. Their relationships have grown back stronger than ever, uplifted by accountability and open communication. Shelley isn't unique, unfortunately. Her story of lies, self-destruction, and loss at the hands of gambling disorder is just one of millions of similarly harrowing tales playing out in homes across the world. Gambling addictions can strike anyone from any background, professional and blue-collar alike. It doesn't care about gender, race, or social status. The signs don't always reveal themselves clearly, at least not at first. What seems like the occasional harmless trip to the casino or racetrack can swiftly metastasize into reckless money behaviors like blowing entire paychecks or maxing out credit cards on a single unlucky night. Then there are the psychological tells: obsessively thinking about gambling every waking hour, feeling restlessness or irritability when not able to gamble, growing deceptive about how money and time are being spent. If left unchecked, ever-increasing risks are taken, like borrowing from predatory lenders, selling prized personal possessions, neglecting core responsibilities and relationships so nothing gets in the way of gambling activities. Eventually, rock bottom arrives with a sickening crash: homes and jobs lost, kids going hungry while their parents chase that elusive one last big score, families torn asunder, and lives obliterated in tragic spirals of debt, depression, and self-loathing.